It's summer in Payne County, Oklahoma. Nothing better in the world than being here with all of you. Thanks for listening, whether you're on the podcast, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or maybe listening on the radio on Sunday mornings. We're glad you're with us. I'm Father Brian O'Brien, pastor of St. Francis Xavier Catholic Church here in Stillwater, Oklahoma. As you may know, we did an episode a couple weeks ago called Father Carey Takes a Sabbatical, and he is now gone. Just for 2 months. He'll be gone all of June, all of July. But we actually recorded a few episodes before he left, so you're gonna hear his grating, annoying voice in the middle of the summer, just as a reminder, so you don't forget about him. But anyway, we've had a great summer so far here at the parish. We've had retreats. We had Father Healy's talk on the Shroud of Turin. We took a bunch of high school kids to Oklahoma City. We've had, of course, Sunday Mass. We've had a Corpus Christi procession. Anyway, lots of awesome stuff. One of the best things, though, about the summer in Payne County is that we have seminarians. So, I don't know when it was, maybe now, almost 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago, we built what a lot of people think is like a really big house. And it is large, okay? I'm not disputing that. But people are like, why is it so big for 2 priests? And we were like, because when you build something, then, other people can live here. So we are privileged the last several summers, 4 summers in a row, we've had 2 seminarians with us. So this summer we have a young man named David Newmeyer, who is going to be on the show in a couple weeks. And we also have Adrian Meneses. Adrian, welcome to the Pastors of Payne.
Thank you so much.
It is awesome. Adrian is awesome. What a blessing he is to our diocese. He has a fascinating life, and that I want everybody to know about. Okay, so Adrian, give us a little background. How old are you right now?
I am 36.
36, beautiful. Yeah. And you tell us about where you grew up. Tell us about your family, and then we'll get into what you're doing here in Stillwater.
I grew up in Tlaxcala, that is the smallest state in Mexico, southeast part of Mexico City. So I grew up there, and I lived when I was 18 years old, when I entered in the religious formation. And I moved to Querétaro and then Guadalajara, and after that, I was moving around the world.
Yeah, you do. You've been to a lot of countries. You speak multiple languages. So your family growing up was Catholic?
Yes, I am coming from a Catholic family, but they didn't wear practicants.
Oh, okay.
So we have the religion because of the tradition. So I was baptized in danger of death. I was sick when I was baby.
Oh.
And they baptized me like that. And
so you were baptized at the hospital?
No, I was sick at home, so my mother went with the neighbor to ask for help, and there was a priest there, and he baptized me.
Wow! So you're baptized at home?
Yes.
That's amazing. When it's an emergency, though, that's how you got to do it. Wow. Okay, so you didn't go to church a lot when you were a kid?
No, more in Mexico, in a Mexican family. So we were at church only for baptisms, weddings, or quinceañeras.
Big events, yeah.
Yeah, so it was not something very common. I started to go to church when I was 14 years old, when I entered in high school in Mexico.
Okay, and but on your own? I mean...
Yes, in my own. I was the only one in the beginning that was going to the church.
Wow.
Yeah. And
how did you get there? Did you walked or you...
It's very funny because...
Did you...
When I entered in high school, I had a classmate that I find that she was beautiful. So
cute girls.
Yeah. So she invited me to a retreat, and
I love it.
And I wanted to be close to her, so I went to the retreat. And
churches are full of cute girls.
Yeah, and I found God
through her.
Yeah, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, I loved this experience, and I started to be in this movement that is called ECOS, that is Encounter, Communication.
You can say it in Spanish. What is it in Spanish?
encuentro, comunicación, oración y servicio. So
Okay, yeah. So it's like for high school,
yeah,
for young people to find
yeah,
to grow with the Lord.
yeah, and to start to discover a vocation.
Yeah.
So we have it like a Sunday school. So every Sunday I was going to the not the cathedral, but next to the cathedral. So every Sunday I have classes and very interesting classes, Bible, teaching of the church, and we have it always a religious sister or a seminarian or a priest
Wow.
to share
Because
with
you did
us.
not learn that as a child.
No,
You had to get that all in high school. So in high school you started to kind of feel like maybe you should be a priest.
Yeah, more or less. I started to go to Sunday mass every week. I was the only one in my house to go into Sunday
Wow.
mass.
That's hard when you're in high school.
Yeah, and I was 14, 15 years old when I
Wow.
started to go. And we have it only one mass in my small town at 7 a.m. So I was the only one
So
to
as a teenager, you're getting up and going to a 7 a.m.
mass.
mass.
Yeah.
Wow. But it builds in you like a determination and yeah, it just helps you grow in your faith.
Yeah, and after that I was start to admire the priest that was with us, Monsignor uh, Pedro Juarez Melendez, that he was the general vicar of the diocese, and he was the spiritual of the movement. So he was with us a lot of time, and I was highly having this admiration for him. I wanted to be like him, to
Yeah.
work with with young people, with young adults, and and also to be like him because he was speaking a lot of languages.
Wow.
So he was studying in Rome,
Yeah.
and now
So
he's
you
a bishop.
admired you. Oh, he is a bishop now?
Yeah,
Wow.
he's
Okay.
the bishop of the Diocese of Tula in Mexico.
Okay. Do
Yeah.
you stay in touch with him?
Yeah, a little.
You do.
Yeah.
Good. That's beautiful. Okay, so now you graduate from high school and you decide to go to seminary.
Yeah, I decided to be a priest first. I didn't know that to be a priest you must to go to a seminary. So
You just thought you'd become
for me, my first idea of become a priest was like to go to a university. So you go to the university. After that, you will look for a job, like a priest. Was my first idea. After that, I discovered that is a process, and you need to go to the seminary.
yeah, you have to go to school
Yeah,
a lot.
and
Yeah.
and like that, I discovered that there are also many kinds of priests. So, and I discovered the missionaries priest, and I wanted to be a missionary in Africa. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, because Father Carey and I have talked about there's like diocesan priests, which now
yeah,
you're studying to be a priest of the Diocese of Tulsa. But there are these religious orders: Jesuits, Dominicans, Franciscans, and then so in your life you've been a part of two different religious orders. So when
yeah.
you were 18, you left your
Eh,
hometown.
And I entered with the White Fathers.
Yeah, tell
this-
us about that. They're called the White Fathers.
Is the surname is not the official name. The official name
They're
is
not. Yeah, not because of their
their skin.
Yeah, it's not their skin. Yeah.
The official name is Missionaries of Africa, and it's an apostolic society. So it's a priest and brother that they commit themselves to do mission, and especially in Africa. So I meet them in Mexico. Uh, I, I was looking on Google
Uh huh.
like missions
Uh-huh.
because we must to do a presentation about missions in the parish, and I write on Google mission in Africa, and the first web page that I have it was the web page of the White Fathers.
Wow. And what was why Africa? You live in Mexico. Why Africa?
I entered to this website and I looked the work that they were making in Africa to share their faith and lead with them. So the founder is Cardinal Lavigeri,
Mm.
and he had like a quotation to their missionaries, and he tell to them, you must to be like the people that you serve. So if you go to Africa, you need to dress like an African, you need to eat like an African,
Wow.
and it's for that that they take the habit. The habit is the normal dress for the people in the north of Africa because the majority are Muslims. So and they dress like a tunic, white tunic
Uh-huh.
with a cap that is called bornus. And the only difference between the Muslims and the priests, they have a rosary on their neck. And what's the only
Oh,
difference between
wow.
them? And it's for that the people that start to call them white fathers because they were dressing
They were dressing in white.
in white
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so you were with the White Fathers for how many years?
for 5 years.
5 years, 18 to 23.
Yes,
And then what? Then you left
I left because they sent me to Burkina Faso to do my
Burkina
spiritual
Faso, West Africa.
West
Yeah.
Africa. They sent me to do my spiritual experience there in mission. So, and I went when I was 22 years old. So I was the youngest in my
Wow.
group. We were
Wow.
28 uh, kind of novices because they don't have novice yet because they are not religious.
Hmm.
It's a spiritual experience. So I went with them, and immediately after 15 days being there, I got malaria. So
What's it like to have malaria?
it's like I say like to have all the common illness at the same time.
Oh,
So like a flu, cough, stomach problems,
all at the same time.
all at the same time.
Ouch.
So
And you had that several times.
4 times in 6 months, and it's for that that I
Wow.
asking to take a time also to make a deep reflection in my vocation because I feel that I needed more experience in war and also in my knowledge, and I asking permission to do a degree in Mexico, and after that come back with them. So and they allow me to go and study my degree in 3 years, and after that to think about my coming back with them. So in these 3 years became 7 years. So I was out of my community 7 years. I make a degree in philosophy
Hmm.
in the Public University of Guadalajara, and immediately when I finish my degree, they invite me to work at the university
Oh,
in the research department of
nice.
philosophy.
Yeah.
So and I accepted and was a great experience. And after that, they invite me to teach in the university, and it's for that they require for me to make a master in philosophy.
Uh-huh.
So in with that, I make a master in philosophy. I did 1 year in Mexico, another year in France. Um, and when I was in France, I was 29 years old. So and I start to think really about again.
Yeah, what is God calling
Yeah,
me to?
yeah,
Yeah.
and more because God was always present in my life. Even if I was not in the
Hmm.
seminary, I was helping in a parish in Guadalajara
Yeah,
with.
so it was you didn't when you didn't leave the church or
No,
yeah, you were faithful.
yeah. So I was going to almost daily mass, doing adoration every day. I like it so much to go to the expiatorio, that is a church where they have uh, exposition of our Lord from 6 morning up to 10
Oh
p.m.
wow.
daily.
Nice. Yeah.
So
That's
and
awesome.
yeah, so I was taking time every day to be there.
So 5 years with the White Fathers, then uh,
7 years out.
and then 7 years out, and then that impulse
Yeah,
to be back in religious life.
God was there always,
Yeah.
and more when many people they say the crisis of the 30s. So I was in the transition, uh, and I went to France. Was a big change.
That's a big change. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a girlfriend from there. We broke up there, and after that, I say, okay, what is going calling me to do in my life?
Yeah.
So I came back to Mexico. I continue with my spiritual direction. I make the silence retreat with the Jesuits there
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
for 10 days,
Yeah.
and the calling is still there. So,
Nice. So then
so
you found a different missionary. That missionary zeal was still there.
yeah. So I came back with the White Fathers, and I speak with them. Was a new group of priests that they were in Mexico. So all the priests that they were with me, they were already in other mission. So any of them, they know me there. So, but they have it my report.
Yeah.
So, and they saw that I was sick 4 times in 6 months in Burkina Faso. And they told me, maybe you had vocation, but
Not
not with us.
not with us.
Because for us, it's only to be in Africa.
Yeah.
So,
And it's interesting because, Father Carey and I have talked about numerous times when someone has a vocation, it's not only what they want. So it has to, so when you applied to the Diocese of Tulsa, you want to be here, but the diocese also has to want you to be here. So it's kind of like dating.
yeah.
You don't just tell somebody that you're going to date them. You ask them, and they accept, and then you go on a
Yeah,
date.
and it's a process. When you enter in the seminary, it don't mean that you will become a priest. And we need to know that is very important
Yeah.
because we are still answering a calling. So it's a process to know if God really is calling us here.
Yeah.
So during that time, I meet by coincidence of things of God, a priest, a Kenyan priest that was in Mexico, Father Joseph Onyango, and I thought that he was member of the Missionaries of Africa, White Fathers. So I started to speak with him, practice my English, because was his first week in Mexico. So his Spanish
Wow.
was not so good.
Yeah.
My English was worse. So we were speaking, and I asked him, so you are a missionary of Africa? He told me yes, but because he was coming from Africa, not
Yeah.
because he was a white father.
Yeah.
So we start to speak, and after that he asked me, you want to be a missionary? I say, yes. So, and I say, but Father Jean told me that I cannot be missionary in Africa. And he say, but we don't have any Jean in the community. I say, yeah. So,
Huh.
and was a different community. So he invited me to make a processus with them, and was like to find again my love in the mission and
So you joined up with
the Consolata missionaries.
Consolata missionaries.
Yeah, that is an Italian order. That
Italian, but missionaries.
yeah.
Just to Africa or to
to all the world.
lots of
They
different
have
places.
different
Okay.
places.
But they sent you to Africa.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they sent me first to Argentina to make my novitiate
Okay.
in 2019, and I became a brother. So I made vows on December 2019.
So what we would call like simple vows.
Yeah, simple.
So it's not like
temporary.
yeah, temporary, not like being married.
Yeah.
It's like dating, kind of,
Yeah, they did more officially. It's more like engaged or fiancé.
Yeah, like fiance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Engaged. Yeah.
Yeah, that we have like
Yeah.
a compromise.
Yeah.
Because I make vows of living poverty, obedience, and celibacy. And like that, they sent me to continue my priestly formation to Kenya to
All right.
study
So Argentina, then to Kenya.
to Kenya.
So now you've been to Mexico, France, Argentina,
and Burkina Faso.
Burkina Faso,
Yeah,
and now Kenya.
in Kenya.
Woo!
And
Amazing. And then you were in Kenya how long?
for 2 years and a half.
Okay.
Yeah, a little more.
In Nairobi.
In Nairobi. But I visit other places in the country.
Wow. So this goes back about a year when Adrian was applying to the Diocese of Tulsa. That time I was on our seminary board. So I interviewed Adrian over Zoom.
Yeah.
I was in my office here
was
in
in
Stillwater, and he was in Nairobi, Kenya. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah,
So
and-
Kenya, a couple years.
Yeah, and I was there during the pandemic, so it was a difficult situation.
Wow. Yeah.
Because I got COVID there. I was the 7th case in the country in Kenya.
The 7th case.
Yeah. And
Wow, you're famous.
yeah, I was kind of famous.
That's not a good reason to be famous.
Yeah, I remember that they give it the news there and they say, today we had 2 new cases and one of them was Mexican. And everybody knows.
You're the only Mexican.
Yeah, who Mexican was that? And for them, they were very strict under the measures.
Yeah.
So every person that were positive with COVID must to spend their time in the hospital, even if they didn't have symptoms.
Oh, really?
So because I didn't have like a lot of symptoms in the beginning, I had only like a normal flu, and then I spent almost 1 month in the hospital.
Wow.
And because in the beginning everybody was scary about COVID, because
Yeah.
to have COVID was like everybody thought that almost you will die.
Yeah.
And I
I
think,
remember that was a very scary time.
yeah, so was the beginning of 2020. So, and I spent there, and also with this stigmatization, people, they didn't want to be with us. Even the nurses, doctors, they didn't
Yeah.
want to enter to the
You're like
hospital.
a leper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were a little
Unclean. Unclean.
abandoned there.
Yeah.
So sometimes they didn't want to even to give us food or water.
Oh wow.
So it was so hard.
That's hard. Yeah,
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah, and then I think because of the situation, the stress and everything, after 2 weeks I started to develop like serious symptoms that on the third week they put me oxygen and they connect me to the all these things. And
Wow.
I remember that they came to check my symptoms. So my fever was so high, my level of oxygen was so down, and
So you almost died.
yeah,
Wow.
and they start to cry, oxygen, oxygen. And then the only thing that I could do, I called my brother and I speak with him. I say, I don't know what will happen with me, but if something happen with me, you need to speak with our parents. I had only
Yeah.
one older brother,
Yeah.
so
Like tell my family I love them.
yeah, so it was
Wow.
so hard for me, for him, and even if I wanted to be a missionary, I started to have this feeling after that, after this experience, that I wanted to be a missionary, but also to be close to my family,
Yeah.
and also with the other problems inside of the community.
So that
Uh,
was the desire then to come to be close to family, and your
yeah,
family
yeah,
is here,
yeah.
not in
So
Stillwater, but in
in
Muskogee.
Muskogee,
Yeah,
uh,
tell us how did they get from Mexico to Muskogee?
yeah, the first one that I was living here in Muskogee was my brother. In the beginning of the 2003 or 4, he came
Wow.
to live here because one of his friends invited him to work there.
So they came for jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after that, my father lost his job in Mexico, and my brother invited my brother. I entered in the seminary, and then my mother was alone there in Mexico, so
Oh.
she came here. And after that, I was the only one living in Mexico in the seminary
Wow. So everyone was in
in
Muskogee.
Muskogee for a couple of years.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I still feel myself like a missionary because I feel like the Diocese of Tulsa is a missionary diocese.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and it is one of the things that I thought when I really chose to be in Tulsa, because I have that other possibilities to go to Argentina. They invite me to go there, but I say, okay, if I will become a diocesan priest, and the idea is to be close to my family. So Argentina
It's
is so
it's
far.
perfect. Well, you're here, you're close to your family, and you're in a very non-Catholic
Yeah,
area. About whatever I think it is, 7 or 8%
yeah,
of Oklahoma that's Catholic. So you leave Kenya, you fly to the United States, and then this past year, so you've been here for a
for a
year,
year already.
and tell us about what you did over the last year.
I did a pastoral year that was something very good for me. Was an introduction to the diocese, but not only to the diocese, to the American culture too. So, and to improve my English, because even if I speak a little better now, but I still learn in English. It's not easy. It's difficult. So all this year I was studying English at TCC in Tulsa.
Tulsa Community College,
Yeah,
yeah.
and also living in a parish, St. Mary's, where I was involved in a little in the parish life.
I love it. So Father Stewart Krevkor, who used to be, he was Father Carey's predecessor here in Stillwater at
Yeah,
St. John's, and
yeah,
is now the pastor at St. Mary's.
yeah. And I was living with him and with Father Vince, the associate priest there, and also with Monsignor Dennis, that is an emeritus pastor there. And I was learning from them, learning how they live their priesthood. And so it was a very good point of turn in the diocese. And so it was a year of learning how is to be a priest in the diocese.
Yeah, because being a priest is you can be a priest anywhere, but I mean I experienced this with our Spanish speakers here. I don't there's a language barrier, but there's also a cultural
Yeah.
barrier. When I go to a Spanish speaking family's house for dinner, it's the food is different than what I'm used to, or the conversation or the music and you have to get used to it. You have to live.
Yeah, and
In
I like that of to be a missionary of even if I am a diocesan seminary and I will become a diocesan priest, but I think because of this experience that I had before, now I need to know how important is to know the language, but also the culture.
Yeah.
To
But I think some priests that in the United States make the mistake of thinking, well, I can pronounce Spanish, or so I'm fine. That's all I need. Like I can say the words of the mass, and so that's all. But there's so much more. I mean, the culture
yeah,
is very important that you have to
yeah,
embrace it.
yeah, and I think it's important to become a priest because we are or I want to become a priest because I want to live my faith with people that I will serve, and I need to learn from them. So, and I will share also my experience, but I think most of the part is to learn from the people that we serve.
I love it. So you are so this fall. So you'll be here in Stillwater for June, all of July.
Yeah,
You're going to preach our what we call our Spanish Parish Mission, June 14th, 15th, 16th, which will be awesome. But you'll be with both communities and at daily mass and helping with Vacation Bible School and all that good stuff, learning about Payne County and Stillwater and all that. So then in July, or in August, you'll go to an American seminary.
yes.
Where will you go, and how long will you be there?
I will go to San Meinrad. That is
Which I already knew that. That's where I went, and I love
Yeah.
it. It's a beautiful place.
Southern Indiana. I visited last year on November.
Oh, you went there?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've seen it. Okay,
yeah.
good.
And it's very beautiful place
Yeah.
in the middle, a little of nowhere.
Yeah, Southern
but-
Indiana.
Yeah,
farm
but
country.
I think it's nice because I will have all the time to commit myself to the studies and also to my
Yeah.
spiritual life.
That was my experience. No distractions
Yeah.
out in the middle of nowhere.
And I will continue with my theology, and if God willing, I will enter in the third year of theology. So that means that I will be there for 2 more years, and if God willing,
Then you'll be a priest.
in 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's 2025.
Yeah.
Wow, that's coming up. One of the great things about Adrian, he's very humble, but English is his fourth language. So Spanish, obviously, but you speak French, and then you said you speak a little Swahili,
Yes.
and then you can read in some
Yeah.
German and
I can
Latin, Greek, Hebrew,
Italian.
Italian. I forgot
Yeah.
about that. Anyway, so he's just very good with languages. It's beautiful. So Adrian is going to be with us this summer, and it's just exciting. It's just exciting. You've experienced the parish in Tulsa, and now you get to
And I am
experience
excited for that. I want to
in
know more about
Stillwater.
the content.
I love it. So it's actually later tonight. Hopefully, we're gonna get out and drive around a little bit, and I'll show you all of our cows and pigs and goats and sheep, and then the university and all that kind of good stuff. And you're a good cook too.
Yeah, it's one of my passions too.
He came out his first night here. He came out and he had a crepe, like French pancakes, like a crepe. What is it called? A pan? A crepe?
pan.
A crepe pan? I was like, okay, this guy is serious. This is awesome. Anyway, you'll see Adrian around the parish. Obviously, come up and say hello. What a blessing to have you in the Diocese of Tulsa and here in Stillwater. Thanks, everyone, for listening in, for joining us, and have a great week. God bless.